Alright, this is how to do an alternator on a 5.0 Land Rover motor. Works on, I think, all the full-size Range Rovers and maybe an LR4. This is a supercharged 2012 full-size. Pretty easy job, but there's nothing online about it, so I decided to do a quick video outside the shop. Basic house stuff. 13mm ratcheting wrench. 3/8 socket, 3-inch extension, 13mm socket. See there's 3 bolts for this alternator, one at the 12 o'clock position, 2 on the side, and a little 13mm bolt for the cable that comes down, and 1 connection. That only goes in one way, so you can't put it in backwards. So it's pretty easy. Jack it up, put your jack stand underneath. The most painful part of the job is getting the alternator back in, of course out. There's a couple lines and hoses there, and they all pretty much move a little bit, so just be gentle. The one thing that really does have to come off or disconnected is one of it's got a vacuum line, little red clip you pop up and loosen it. You'll see it at the end of the video. It tucks out of the way. The 2 belts have to come loose, of course, to get the alternator out. And of course the skid plates, which I didn't show, which are a bunch of 10mm bolts, and the alternator is just a big 3/8. Belt tool will do the trick. I didn't show that, but if you don't feel comfortable doing the belts or the skid plates, you should probably call someone to help you do this. Of course, disconnect the battery. You'll see here in a second, I'll get it up in where it's able to work, and you can reach around one hand in the back and do the 13mm nut and do the 1 connection, and then set it back up in there. Just like taking it off, do the bolts first, that way you can move around and do the connections. And of course, when you're putting it back on, do the bolts last, that way you can use one hand to move the alternator around and get your other hand up in there to do the nuts and 1 connection. But you'll see, this is a pain. I could have edited it out, but I wanted to show you how much of a pain it is to get that up in there. Just like getting it out, just be patient, don't rush it, don't break anything. You'll see here from the back side, you'll be able to get one hand up in there to do the 13mm nut, which is where I recommend using that little stubby ratcheting wrench, because you don't really have much room to move around. And then do that 1 connection. What you don't see here is I have my left hand holding the alternator and my right hand doing the work. So once those are connected, then you can mount the alternator up back in their place. Do the 2 bolts there on the side. You can use a 13mm socket or a ratcheting wrench. You'll see me do the 2 there on the side. Just get them, somewhat tight, but don't snug them down. Then do the 1 on the top, then go back through and tighten them all down. You can see here you can get a ratchet up in there. Alright, you can see me doing the 1 top bolt there with the 3/8 ratchet, a 3-inch extension, and the little 13mm socket. And all these I choose to use a 6-point instead of a 12.0 where you don't strip anything. You see hitting my hand there underneath my thumb, that line that's hitting my wrist, that's that vacuum line that you gotta pop off and tuck out of the way. And of course when you're done, just put it back on, clip it with that red clip, put the belts back on, 10mm bolts for the skid plate, you're good to go.